This is the Horse Radio Network.
This is episode 540 of the Dressage Radio Show, official podcast of the United States Dressage Federation on the Horse Radio Network, brought to you by Kentucky Performance Products, TotalSaddleFit.com, and Bates Saddles. On tonight's USDF episode, we are going to provide a finals wrap-up with adult amateur Grand Prix champion Alice Tarjan. We also have Brianna Zwilling, who won the first level open freestyle with over 80%. And for our Total Saddle Fit trainer tip, we're going to chat with Jaime Leuenberger, first-time finals participant.
This is Free Scoffler Stanfield from Georgetown, Kentucky.
And this is Philip Parks from Rockwood, Ontario, and you're listening to the Dressage Radio Show.
Hi, Phil.
Hi, Reese. Have you recovered from a busy week yet?
Whew, it was a busy week. Actually, it wasn't too bad because of the way kind of Big Mike, Follow Me, went on Thursday, and Marquez, owned by Pamela McKee, went on Saturday. So I had actually just one horse at the horse show because I could bring them home because my farm from the horse park is like 10 minutes, as Phil knows. So it was great. So we weren't actually, I had one horse and I could really focus on that one horse, and that was really nice. So I think a lot of people can tell you the weather was really, really terrible on Thursday.
Challenging.
When it was challenging. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. It was raining sideways, legitimately, and it was cold. But I will say, Follow Me, who's owned by the Maple Springs Partnership. You guys have heard about Follow Me. We call him Big Mike since I got him. So this was the first time he went to regionals and had a fantastic test. And I felt like at third level, it was sort of time for him to go to the finals. I thought, okay, it's worth the money to take him. And I will just give him a shout out. He was so good. He handled the environment beautifully, it's a tricky environment. The horse park's really big. There's lots of walking between places. And, we had to warm up in the Coliseum, and he really handled all of that great. It was really, really cold when we were riding in our test, and it was raining sideways, which, as we all know, Reese is not the toughest when it comes to that. I'm fine to say it, not so tough. But he was great. He warmed up super, and he handled, there's a huge jumbotron and lots of lights and music and all kinds of things. And he did great. Big Mike's not the best in wet footing. He's not super secure. He doesn't like it. And I try to ride him out as much as I can. I don't have an outdoor ring, so I do ride him outside when it's rainy, so he kind of gets used to it. But poor guy, kind of slid going down into the ring, and but he was like, Mom, it's raining sideways and I'm sliding. So he was a little bit tentative in the test, and I lost some points where I would have loved to have gained some points back. But overall, he was really good. I was really pleased. And then I took Marquez, who I have shown for the last about 5 years. He's my most seasoned one probably. And he was great. He was fifth in the second level freestyle open, which was great. He's a PRE, and he's owned by Pam McKee, and we give Miss Pam a shout out. She's our barn mom, and she was on this journey with me when I said, I really, really want to take him and do this. He was great. Actually, the footing was frozen when we rode on Saturday morning. We went really early. We went at like 8:30, and I think it was 24 degrees. Again, Reese is not tough, but Marcus was a champ. That little horse tries his heart out for me every time, and he was great. So he finished fifth. So it was a great finals. I'm really glad we went. It's a great experience. It was. Both my horses were just troopers and really, really were good boys and were a pleasure to ride. So that was my finals experience. Yeah, we were outside. I can't wait for Big Mike to be big enough next year to potentially go inside the whole time. That's what I'm hoping for.
Great. Congratulations.
Thank you. It was a good week. It was good.
Yeah. But we've got a busy show with, more competitors that you were able to grab for us to do interviews. And I think right after this commercial from USDF, we can go right away talking to Alice Tarjan.
Founded in 1973, the United States Dressage Federation has become the largest organization to represent a single Olympic equestrian discipline. At nearly 30,000 members strong, USDF is your connection to dressage education, competition, and achievement. Visit USDF.org to learn more about USDF education, competition and award programs, and to shop our online store. Again, that's USDF.org, your online destination for dressage.
Well, this evening, we are so excited to have Alice Tarjan on. She is quite a wonderful rider and rock star from the 2019 championships. She rode Candescent in 2018 to the Intermediate 2 Adult Amateur and defended her title in 2019. And she was also 2018 Grand Prix Adult Amateur Champion and defended her title again. With overall, she took home 4 championship places, 1 reserve, and 1 top 10 placing on 4 horses. Alice, we're so happy to have you on the show. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Well, we were teasing because in Florida, you're always so kind and let me borrow your in the pouring rain. And I offered it in Kentucky because we had quite some weather challenges this year, didn't we?
Yeah, I think that's every year, actually.
I think you're right.
No, right?
It did. It actually snowed here like Monday after everyone left. So, but I don't know if there's.
So that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. So that was some challenges, wasn't it, for the outside kind of younger horses, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's always like every year it's cold and miserable in the mornings, I think. So, yeah, that's kind of par for the course of Kentucky, unfortunately.
Yeah, no kidding. So now you brought 3 third-level horses, kind of youngsters this year, didn't you?
Yeah, 2 of them are 6-year-olds and then the one was 7.
Yeah. And tell us a little bit, because people, I don't know if they know Kentucky very well, but the third-level horses are typically outside, third level and below. There are some upper-level rides, but then there are also the horses that are inside. So it's kind of 2 different venues, essentially. So tell us about your third-level horses as we get started tonight.
So there's the 2 6-year-olds also done Chicago, and then there was a 7-year-old, and this is her first year showing, so she's super green. She really wasn't ready, but I figured it would be good for her for the experience to bring her out. But it's a great show because even though you show outside, like the days they aren't showing, you get to, ride them in a Coliseum, and they've never seen something like that before. So hopefully it's good preparation for them eventually, if they go do the bigger stuff and get to go in the All-Tech or something like that. So it's just good, I think, for them to go all week, and there's a lot of horses, and yeah, it's just good experience for them.
Absolutely. Now, these youngsters, did you breed these guys? Because you're also a very active and very successful breeder.
No, I didn't. The one was bred by Marietta Heyman, so she's in North Carolina. That one's U.S. bred, and the other 2 are bred in Germany and Holland.
Fantastic. Well, it is a fantastic experience for those guys. Well, tell us about your amazing Candescence. She is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, she's a fun horse. She's not the easiest, but she's definitely fun.
Yeah. You guys have such a great partnership. You've had this mare. I've seen you work her in Florida, and she's really a phenomenal horse. Can you tell us a little bit about her, and then a little bit what's it like to defend the championship this year?
Yeah, so she's 9 this year, and I got her as a 4-year-old with the intention of jumping her. I was scared to death of her when I first got her. I wouldn't even ride her. Thank God my friend Lauren Chumley came and rode her for me and was like, oh, you'll be fine. And by the time I finally got her going well enough that I wasn't scared anymore, it was pretty obvious that she was going to be a good dressage horse, and I would be foolish to jump her. So that went her jumping career. Yeah, so it's been fun to bring her up. And then Kentucky's always a great show. The atmosphere there is amazing. It's fun to be able to ride them in the All-Tech, especially when the weather's bad. We can just only ride inside, which is amazing. I think there's always more pressure going in having won it last year. Maybe more for me personally, just not so much about where we place. I don't care about that so much, but you want to see improvement as time goes by, of course. So not even like with the score, but you want to be able to go and hopefully and be like, oh, like we rode a better test than I was able to last year. So I can say that that's the case. I think that it was better than it was last year, but that's certainly the pressure going in. Having done the same class last year, so the younger horses move up every year, right? So maybe sometimes they do well, sometimes they do poorly, but it's a different test, right? Like it gets more complicated as you go on, like from the 4 to the 5 to the 6-year-olds. So then you get to Grand Prix, and like that's all they ever have to know, which is kind of cool. It's sort of fun, but then like you realize when you teach a horse to do all the Grand Prix movements that's only the beginning, and then the rest of your life, I guess, is spent trying to make it more harmonious and to own it a little bit more and have it, make it easier.
Yeah,
which
absolutely.
is not so easily done.
No, it's so easy to say it, and then so actually difficult to do it. And like you said, doing it in the All-Tech, the classes are in the evening, aren't they?
The amateurs actually went during the day. So
okay,
yeah, we were during the day.
Fantastic.
It was interesting because last year, she was a little bug-eyed about showing in the all-tech. Actually, because last year, I think the I-2 was outside and then the Grand Prix was inside. So I know we went in for the Grand Prix and she was definitely a little taken aback by it. And this year, it was not even an issue. Like, I schooled her in there the first day, and then after that, I never even schooled her in there because she was fine. It wasn't a problem at all.
Oh, fantastic. So tell us about your freestyle. What is your music? I wasn't able to see it.
Oh, yeah. We used Beetlejuice for her, and then for the trout work, and then Angry Birds for the Piaf Passage. And I'm not sure, honestly, what that can of work is.
That's fun.
But I don't know that she's really ready to do a freestyle, but I was like, if we're going to go to Kentucky, it'll be fun. And it's always better, I think, maybe to do more classes than less classes. You're going to go that far for a show, and then if you only do like one and it doesn't go well, you're like, oh, that's too bad. So, yeah, so that's why I figured, like, well, we'll do this 3 and give us another chance to get in the arena.
I love it. So what's your plan with her next? What's your next year's plan with her?
We don't really have one.
Fair enough.
I think that we probably need another year or two, probably, of just National Grand Prix. So she's going to hack around for a while. We're going to Florida on Saturday, and she'll hack around down there for a while and then start putting her back to work. I think, maybe we'll probably do like another year, maybe a developing Grand Prix, because she'll only be 10 next year, and try to iron it out and make it a little more fluid. Mm-hmm. And then, maybe we'll do Devon or something next fall, or I don't know. We'll see. The horses, like, I kind of feel like the horses always tell you what they're ready for and where they're at. So I'll let her tell me what she wants to do.
I think that's a great way to look at that. Like you said, she does the Grand Prix already. And at that age, it's a lot of cleaning up and it's a lot of repetition, and that can get
all about cleaning it up now. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that can be hard. I mean, that's like you said, keeping her fresh and keeping her, she's absolutely an amazing horse. And if anybody has a chance, look her up, because she's amazing. But, kind of working that and keeping that freshness for her is the hard part, I think. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think maybe the answer is you just don't do too much of it and you don't drill it. So, but I kind of feel like we've climbed up this huge mountain, and it's like, okay, like now, like we can do all the movements, which is great. And now we have the rest of our lives to just try to make it easier and clean it up. So I don't really feel much pressure, actually, because I don't think, I won't do the CDIs with her. So it kind of like next year. So it kind of, none of it really matters. Like, we'll just have fun next year and play around and try to get it even more solid.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's great. Yeah. Just having a fun year and doing some shows if you feel like it, or not if you don't feel like it.
Like I said, yeah, they tell you. So.
Yeah.
So Alice, tell us some things. Like you said, you have an eventing background, don't you?
Yeah, so I evented all the way through college. I was terribly scared going cross country, but I went through intermediate. It was a lot of fun. My horse was kind of a maniac, which is great because she would jump anything you pointed her at, but it was also kind of terrifying. And then I kind of decided that was enough of that. And so I always wanted to do the dressage, but I really wanted to event too. So I did the eventing and got that out of my system, and now I'm a dressage rider.
Yeah, I don't know, but you're pretty brave. Like you hack all your horses out. I see you around the circle in Florida all the time, and I think you do an amazing job.
Isn't that the irony of it? Because I was like, I'm not going to event anymore, so I'm not going to be scared. And like when I evented, I was always trying to pick out like where the helicopter would land after I crashed a fence. And now I ride all these young horses, and I'm like, wait a minute, like I'm not supposed to be scared, but like some of them are terrifying, right? Like they're fun, you don't worry, but there's plenty of times when I'm completely terrified, and I'm like, this isn't supposed to be the way it is anymore. I'm supposed to be like an adult, and I ride dressage horses, and I'm safe. And yeah, that's not always the case with the young horses.
It's true. And you have done so much with the young horse program. Tell us a little bit about kind of your experience doing that, and now, bringing them all up and doing the big sport now.
So it all kind of started because I wanted to ride at Devon. Like that was kind of my goal. And so I read the prize list, and I figured the cheapest way I could possibly ride at Devon was the 3-year-old material, because you didn't have to have a trained horse. Like I figured there's no way they're going to train a horse up to 4th level or St. George, and you had to qualify, right? And that was incredibly difficult. I figured I could never do that. And I didn't have the money to go buy a made horse, so that wasn't going to happen. So I was like, all right, if I buy a foal and I wait 3 years, I can go to the material and you don't have to qualify, and I can ride at Devon. So that's exactly what I did. And we did the material, and that worked out well. And then the next step, was the young horse. And so that's kind of been how I got into it. And so all my horses, I buy them when they're young, and I bring them to the young horse, and I've sold a bunch of them, but now I'm trying to keep some. And yeah, so then eventually they start getting trained. And so then you start, hopefully, you end up with some good Grand Prix horses. So we'll see how it goes, but that was we'll see,
Yeah, no, for sure. That makes complete sense. But it also makes sense of what you do with your program and getting them out. And so what are some challenges you face being an adult amateur? Because you are an adult amateur, right?
Yep.
And so what are some challenges that you face kind of being in the adult amateur versus the professional ring?
I kind of see it as an advantage because I feel like I'm lucky that I own my own horses, so I don't have to deal with owners and clients.
Yeah.
I see a lot of my friends, that are trainers struggling, because maybe they think, the horse, probably like I have a couple of horses in my barn that haven't shown this year at all. They haven't been out. And it's because I just feel like they're not in a place yet where I want to show them. They're not ready to go in the ring. And so I have the ability to be like, this horse is going to stay home this year. It's not a problem. And I got other horses to show or I don't show or whatever, but that's my decision. And you can see that it's got to be really difficult when you have clients and, they want their horses not showing or they want them doing this. But then it holds the training back. Right. And so
yeah,
I'm lucky that I'm able to make my own decisions with my horses about where I think how I think I should train them and what's the best, course going forward with them. So I really look at it honestly as an advantage. I don't think the judges see it any differently. I certainly don't feel like I've had a problem like showing against the pros with how I'm judged or anything. So
no, you'd like to show us how it's done. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, you like to show us how it's done. That's fantastic. Well, Alice, thank you so much for coming on the show and telling us about your experience in Kentucky and your horses. And we can't wait to have you back.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, we're going to have another quick break with Kentucky Performance Products and come back with Brianna Zwilling.
Each week, you carefully plan out your horse's training schedule. You work with your trainer to fine-tune his flat work. You school through grids to perfect his jump and set up multiple courses to educate your eye. You enjoy long hacks to keep his mind fresh and body strong. Show day arrives. You take a deep breath as you enter the ring. We've got this, you whisper so only he can hear you. You move as one, sailing over each element in perfect harmony. The feeling you get when it all clicks. It's why we do what we do. This feeling is brought to you by Joint Armor. Joint Armor's complete formula provides your horse with the nutrients necessary to support healthy joints throughout his lifetime. Joint Armor maintains fluid motion and flexibility in hardworking joints. It supports normal cartilage development and reduces joint deterioration. Joint Armor provides high levels of both glucosamine and chondroitin, plus 100 milligrams of hyaluronic acid. Best of all, Joint Armor is affordable. One small jar lasts up to 75 days. The horse that matters to you matters to Kentucky Performance Products.
Well, this evening, I'm so excited to have U.S. first level freestyle champion, 80% rider, Brianna Zwilling on. She's the head trainer at Epic Equestrian. Brianna, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Well, you had an absolutely amazing freestyle that sort of blew up Facebook. And that's where I saw it because I had actually left the finals because you went late Sunday, didn't you, with your mare?
Yeah, I think the class got over about 5:20 p.m. and we had awards at 6 p.m. So our whole crew ended up, of course, staying the night and then trying to beat the snow back home to St. Louis the next day.
Right. So tell us about your mare.
Her name is For Diabella. She's owned by Sally Miller. She's a 9-year-old Dutch warmblood who was bred right here in the U.S. Just a super, super phenomenal horse. The owner, Sally, actually went looking for a horse to buy and found this kind of green 5-year-old that I wasn't too keen on because she was looking for a more upper level kind of balanced horse. But man, I sat on her and I said, Sally, she is phenomenal. So she ended up buying her and she's been with me in training for 4 years and has just really blossomed. She's a super athletic, elastic horse. So it's taken her a little bit more time to kind of develop those carrying muscles, but she's really come into her own and mind and body this year.
Absolutely. So tell us about your freestyle. What do you think? I mean, breaking an 80% is huge. So how did you do that?
Oh man, it was funny because I said to the owner, Sally, a couple weeks ago in training, I said, how cool would it be to earn an 80% at finals in that kind of atmosphere and with 3 judges? Like, oh man, that just gives me the chills. So to be able to do that was super fantastic. I love freestyles. I love doing the choreography. I love picking the music. I work with Cynthia Collins at Luna Tunes to kind of help me put the music to the choreography, but I like to do my own pattern and pick my own music. So I really wanted to do something creative and different. I did a lot of counter canter. I actually did my simple change of lead through the trot, counter canter to counter canter. I wanted to do something that was really never done before and would kind of have the judges sit on the edge of their chairs.
Yeah, it was hard. I watched it. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, it was hard.
You can get top marks for difficulty level, yeah?
Yeah, I got a 9 on difficulty, which was super, super exciting that it was recognized, right? And appreciated.
Yeah, for sure. It was great. I was impressed. I mean, so the freestyle is actually on Facebook, and really everyone should go and take a look at it. And it's in the All-Tech, right? I mean, they put the first level freestyle. That's a big arena to go in, isn't it?
Oh, I love it. I love it in there. It was really cool that it was in there. It was really fun to be, of course, in the warmth. We had beautiful weather on Sunday, but I love being warm and just kind of being in that atmosphere. And the mayor really trusted me and was really with me the whole ride. So I think I was smiling the entire time. I was really enjoying it.
Oh, absolutely. Fantastic.
Well, I think that probably comes across. I mean, developing that 80% score, I think you got to be having fun.
Yeah.
Right? And always it's easier on a horse that's really solid, but I'm sure you've shown this horse a bit this summer and sort of develop that partnership, not going to the finals having shown your freestyle 3 times or something like this. So tell us about your preparation.
I had a pretty interesting summer.
Hey.
I actually was not in my plans. I was having some back pain in the spring, and so I went in for an MRI, and they found I had a giant melon-sized tumor in my pelvis.
Whoa.
So that was that was a big blow. And so at the end of June, I actually had surgery and had it taken out. Luckily, it was benign. Everything was good. And so I took about 4 weeks off, kind of let my body heal. And I was back to riding, got all my horses kind of back in line. So I actually didn't show until the middle of August. So it was a pretty condensed show season this year.
I bet. Well, and it's always interesting when you have a health concern on how things kind of change, right? And how your perspective changes. So what was your perspective change? Because you brought 3 horses to the finals, right?
Yes, I had 3 horses qualified this year. I actually had 2 students qualified to be there as well. Definitely, that health concern kind of definitely puts things in perspective and just reminds you that why you really love riding. And it's just literally a joy every day to be in the saddle and feel that harmony with our horse and be able to move and just love horses and love riding and love the whole journey.
I love it. So circling back to your freestyle, if someone's interested in doing sort of a first level freestyle because you got a 9 on difficulty, what are some things at the lower levels that you would kind of recommend to people as they're thinking about maybe this winter when it's cold and they think, I can do a freestyle? What are some things that you would recommend to people wanting to do a lower level freestyle? Absolutely.
So you have your core essentials that you have to get in, your 15-meter circles in the canter, 10-meter at the trot, leg yield, your change of lead through the trot, and your walk. So I think about how can I put these things in odd places, and how can I put these things paired with other difficulty. I know in my canter transition, I do it from a big, difficult leg yield all the way across the arena. And then I go into my canter. And then how quickly can you get into your other work? So I think it's trying to put those core movements in difficult places and then trying to figure out how you can do difficult things before and after those movements to kind of catch the judge's attention.
I love it. Fantastic. Well, Brianna, thank you so much for coming on the show. How can our listeners find you online if they're in the St. Louis area?
Sure. I have a website, BZ Dressage, or find me on Facebook with Epic Equestrian. A bunch of ways to find me there. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you. And we look forward to seeing them as the mare develops and having you back on the show.
All right. Thank you.
Well, Phil, I think we all love hearing 80% at any level. So it was pretty cool to hear Brianna and see her ride. She's pretty fantastic at first level freestyle. So shout out to her for sure. And we're going to have a quick break from Bates Saddlery.
To celebrate the holidays, if you purchase a new Bates saddle in November or December, you can redeem a free set of Bates Saddles competition luggage. Bates Saddles offer highly specialized saddles for every discipline, engineered to bring out the best in you and your horse. Underneath the finest European leather, you will feel the power of innovation. For you, the rider, enjoy instantaneous comfort, optimal balance, and seamless contact with your horse, leaving you free to concentrate on your aids. For your horse, the Care Cushion System and the Easy Change Fit solution ensure their absolute comfort and your peace of mind. Revolutionize your riding experience and fulfill your true potential by riding in a Bates saddle. Conditions do apply. Visit BatesSaddles.com to find out more. That's BatesSaddles.com.
Well, Phil, I am not going to lie. When it was raining sideways, I was really happy I had my stability stirrup leathers on from Total Saddle Fit. They're fantastic stirrup leathers, and it was really wet. And again, we've established I'm not great in the wet, but honestly, I felt really secure because the stirrup leathers are wider and they give you a little bit more surface area. So I really felt good as I was going down the center line. We sort of wiped everything real quick before I went in. I changed my gloves, but I didn't have to do anything with my stirrup leathers, which was pretty awesome. So I'm a huge fan of the stability stirrup leathers. I use them on Follow Me, rode them in the US finals, and I love them. And they really do actually keep my leg quieter because he can be a little bit, especially when he's tightened it back when it's raining sideways. I was really thrilled to have those babies on there.
They are so comfortable. I mean, even if they didn't help your leg position, just for the comfort of have the feeling of there's nothing between your leg and the saddle. There's no twisting. There's no rubs that develop. I think it's a great product, as are all the products from Total Saddle Fit.
Agreed. And they have great products, and it's totalsaddlefit.com. And Justin there can answer any question. He's fantastic. So we hope you touch base with him with any saddle needs. But we also have a great Total Saddle Fit tip of the week from young professional Jaime Leuenberger. It was her first time at the US finals, and we hope you enjoy.
This week's dressage training tip is brought to you by Total Saddle Fit, home of the shoulder relief girth at totalsaddlefit.com.
Well, today we have a great Total Saddle Fit tip of the week from young professional Jaime Leuenberger. Jaime, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Well, we're so happy to have you on. We've been hearing about you, and your mom is an auditor of the Horse Radio Network, which we love. So tell us a little bit about yourself, because you're just transitioned into the professional ranks, right?
Yeah, my mom is from Milford, New Jersey, and I just turned 22 this year, so got kicked out of the young rider stuff. And it's my first year in the big world of professionals. And I have an event horse and a couple of dressage horses that I'm working on. And yeah, that's pretty much a little bit about me.
Love it.
I was just going to say to tell us a little bit about the horse that you brought to the finals this year, because kind of an interesting story. We saw an article highlighting you on the Chronicle of the Horse. So give us the lowdown for our show.
Yeah, so the horse that I brought to the finals, his name is the Black Pearl, but call him Jack at home. And he is a Frisian cross, or so we think. It's a funny story because my mom actually went, and we had a trainer that went and looked at him at a Mennonite farm out in western Pennsylvania. And she actually bought him on the trainer's word without actually having seen him. And it just turned out that he's been a really safe and a wonderful horse for me to learn on. And we've done really a little bit of everything, but he's not a super scopy jumper, so he has ended up being a dressage horse.
Well, I love it. That sounds like my kind of horse. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, he sounds perfect really for me. I'm like, he sounds perfect. So tell us about your first experience in Kentucky at the U.S. Finals.
I'd have to say it was a really wonderful experience. I wasn't sure entirely what I should expect going down there, but everyone was really, really nice. And of course, the Kentucky Horse Park is a beautiful venue. And I'd obviously recommend that anyone who can, try to go, because it's a beautiful place to ride, and they really do make it feel special, even if you don't get to ride in the big all-tech ring.
That's true. There's still jumbotrons and big, it feels like a national championship for sure as you're walking around, and there's different parts of the horse park that you can use. It's absolutely, I would completely agree. If you're not inside and you're still outside, it still does feel like a national championship for sure. So what are some other tips you would give to people on their first trip to Kentucky for the U.S. Finals?
I'd say it's really important to make sure you have your travel well planned out, and you know when you're going to get there and about when you're going to leave, and make sure that you have everything you need for your horse planned out. Then other than that, just try to have fun and treat it like you treat another show, and so that you don't get yourself nervous about it, because it is national championships and it feels different, and you get to ride in front of 3 different judges instead of just the standard one. So try not to psych yourself out about it.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's very true. So tell us about, your horse is a head shaker, right? So this poses some extra special challenges.
Yes, he is a head shaker. So basically, the vets basically think that it is caused by an overactive trigeminal nerve, which runs down their face into their muzzle, and they get tingling sensation and similar things, and it causes them to shake their head. For my horse, it presented as kind of this weird twitch where he just flipped his nose up at odd intervals, and sometimes if it was really, really bad, he would turn his head all the way to one side, and you pretty much couldn't get him to straighten out. And if you did, he'd just turn all the way to the other side. And it was really confusing for us for a while, because it only happens to him in the summer, because we think his trigger is dust and pollen, which isn't so much a problem in the winter. And I finally, after a few years of struggling with, not being able to get him into the contact and in a true connection because of the head shaking, we finally tried to ride him in a nose net. And as it turns out, that solves the problem at least 95% of the way. So he hardly shakes his head. He might shake his head a little bit in a stretch circle if he kicks dust up, or in really, really bad allergy season. But it's very mild compared to what it was. And he doesn't come completely off the contact when he does it anymore. But it used to be really, really disruptive. So the nose net's been a huge game changer for him.
So, you've had him for quite a few years now. Is this something that he's sort of always done from the time that you bought him, or did it develop a couple of years later, or has it been slowly developing the entire time?
It's hard to remember back to the very beginning because I got him when I was only 13. But he's definitely always had it to some extent. I think the amount that I've noticed it changed over the years, because initially I was trying to kind of do the hunters with him. So I wasn't trying to really put him together or do proper flat work. So I didn't really notice at that point. And there were enough other training issues that you couldn't tell that there was just, something not quite right medically with him. So I probably didn't really notice it until maybe 6 months or so after I started eventing him and started really taking dressage lessons. And then, I would think that I fixed the connection and I was a fantastic rider and all this stuff in the winter. And then spring would come around and suddenly I had nothing in the contact and things felt terrible again. So it was a bit of a learning process and figuring out, when he does it, when he doesn't do it. And then figuring out also how to adjust the nose net so that it works properly. Because it actually doesn't work unless it touches the end of his nose.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, really
Yeah,
interesting.
that's really interesting. And so can you show in a nose net? How does that work?
You can now. They just changed the rule last year so that the nose nets are allowed for the dressage phase of eventing and for regular USDF shows. You cannot show for the FEI. But how it works for the USDF is you just have to present a letter from your vet diagnosing your horse with head shaking. And then they are supposed to allow you to show in it. And they just give a copy of the letter to the judges and the TDs so that everybody knows that you're fine and allowed to use it.
That's fantastic. I think that's really, important to know that for sure. I mean, any other tips that you can have from someone that maybe has a head shaker? Because I have had one, and unfortunately, he just got worse and worse. So we weren't able to actually make him better. But a lot of horses can get better with nose nets and different items now, and they're learning more and more about the syndrome. Anything else that you can give any advice?
Well, I know the syndrome is fairly complicated and there's a lot of different causes and triggers. Like photosensitivity is one. Fortunately, that's not what Jack's issue is. We've been able to pretty much pinpoint that it's, dust and pollen, and if it's really windy. But I have heard, it does make it better for a few minutes sometimes if you can rub his nose with a towel. So you might be able to get through one test if you have someone there to, rub their nose vigorously beforehand. And the theory is it just, gives them a form of stimulation of that nerve that they know what to do with and that the brain can process properly, so that maybe it keeps them from, having to shake their head for a few minutes. Other than the nose net, though, there's not a whole lot, at least not of legal stuff.
Right.
That you can actually show with. I know there are some medications, but again, those are out for shows.
Well, and I think it's great that, this is a really good solution. It's really worked for you and your horse. And I think it's fantastic. And so I love it because then you're able to show him and all the good things. So does it bother him at all in the winter? Do you wear the nose net all the time or just in the summer?
Yeah. So in the summer is when it's worst.
Okay.
I found that usually I don't need the nose net so much in the winter. Once we've had a good couple of hard frosts and it's consistently staying below freezing, I don't find that I need it anymore.
Okay.
But as soon as it starts to warm up again in the spring, even if, places to our south are warming up enough where the trees and the grass start to produce pollen down there, and it gets picked up on the wind and moved up north, even then I need to start using the nose net again.
Got it. So what's your next step with your horse? 4th level championships. You were 8th in the freestyle. That's fantastic at your first national championship. What's next year? What's next?
Yeah. So this year I was doing 4th level in Prix St. George. So next year, my plan is to get in a solid season at Prix St. George and I-1. Because we did one I-1 this fall that went pretty well. So hopefully next year we'll do some more, and then maybe an I-1 freestyle as well. I
love it. Working on all the medals.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. Well, congratulations on your success this year. And our listeners are listening. How can they find you online?
You can go ahead and follow me on my Instagram, which is JL Events Fish. And that handle actually comes from my event horse. His name is Nemo. So therefore he's a fish.
I love it. Well, fantastic. We will follow you and we look forward to continuing to see your success in the future.
Great. Thank you for having me on the show today.
Well, if anybody went to the U.S. finals, we would love to hear how it went. Feel free to send us an email or a Facebook shout out. Phil and I always get those babies and we love having them. And we look forward in the next couple of weeks. We're going to announce our new book club. We've got that coming on. We also have Radiothon for our listeners and for our auditors, which is a great way to sponsor and enjoy our programming. We have Radiothon December 2nd at 11 a.m. That's our hour. And feel free, we're going to have Pam Stone on, and we're really looking forward to it. So please feel free to jump in. We'll also have it on that'll be our show for the week. So we look forward to it. As always, you can find our show notes and links to today's guests on our website at dressageradio.com. The United States Dressage Federation is your connection to dressage education, competition, and achievement. Visit USDF.org for more information. That's www.usdf.org, the online destination for dressage. Always like us on Facebook. Just search Dressage Radio Show. Follow us on Horse Radio. My website is maplecrestfarmky.com, and my email is reese@horseradionetwork.com.
The best way to find me is probably on Facebook, or my email is philip@horseradionetwork.com. I'd like to thank our sponsors for allowing us to put on a show. And don't forget to check out all the other shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com.
Everybody, keep your heels down and your shoulders back, and we look forward to talking with you next week.